Welcome to another episode of All Things Mysterious, the podcast where the realms of true crime, the supernatural, and the unexplained converge. I'm your host, Matt.
I'm Jordan.
Let's dive right in. Jordan?
Yes, Matthew.
We just got done recording an episode about planes. So let's talk about more plane stuff.
That sounds great.
Because you brought forward an okay case. Okay. But I'm going to bring the pinnacle of all plane cases ever.
You guys, he has 8 million pages on his phone.
Everybody buckle up. It's going to be a long one.
I'm so sorry.
This is probably my most comprehensive investigation I've ever done.
Oh, God. I'm going to take a nap.
I've got suspects, full debriefs on all the suspects. Not all the suspects. That would literally take about 15, 16 hours.
Oh, my God.
There has been hundreds of suspects over the years.
You're insane.
I've got theories, and I've even got conspiracy theories. And you know how much I hate conspiracy theories.
You do. You do. But boy, did he go all out this week.
Today, we are going to talk about a case deemed America's most prolific unsolved case by me. Let's embark on a journey back to November 24th, 1971, to recount the audacious hijacking that set the stage for a decades-long mystery, the case of D.B. Cooper.
Drum.
And guys, I can't even believe it, but Jordan does not know D.B. Cooper.
I said I knew the name. I just couldn't put a finger on it.
She asked me right before we started recording what episode I'm going to do, and I told her. And she's like, never heard of that one.
That's not what I said. I said, I know the name. I'm just trying to remember exactly which one it was.
Oh, my God.
That's not what I said. Not what I said.
That's what you said.
That's not what I said.
Allegedly.
Swear to God. Can't with you.
All right. Our story begins on a chilly November day as Northwest Airlines Flight 305 took off from Portland, Oregon, bound for Seattle. Among the passengers was a man who seemed ordinary at first glance. Clad in a business suit, carrying a briefcase, he looked like any other traveler. Yet beneath his facade was a plan that would thrust him into infamy. Using the name Dan Cooper, he was about to challenge the U.S. aviation system in an unprecedented way. So, note here, D.B. Cooper is not actually, he never went by D.B. Cooper.
Love that.
That was apparently a miscommunication from the media when they sent it over a telegraph wire service or something. But his name on his airline ticket was actually Dan, which D.B. Cooper sounds way better than Dan Cooper.
Yeah, I probably would have gone by DV. It sounds cooler.
Yeah, I wish I would have thought of that.
I would have changed it after that. I would have been like, yeah, this is way better.
So as the flight reached cruising altitude, Cooper made his move, quietly informing a flight attendant that he had a bomb and demanded $200,000 for parachutes and a refueled aircraft for escape. Now, the funny part about this is he originally handed the flight attendant a note. She's okay, thank you. And she puts it in her pocket and just walks off. So he says, ma'am, you want to read that? I have a bomb. Which is
the flight attendant's just, okay, thanks.
Yeah, because she's probably used to people handing her their number or something. I don't know what it, but
honestly, she sounds like me. I'm just like, all right, cool, thanks, bye.
But it's just so funny that, no, read the note. I have a bomb. Dope. Oh, God. So this was no ordinary threat. It was a meticulously planned hijacking. Cooper's calm demeanor and specific demands suggested he was no amateur. His request to fly the plane at a lower altitude and with the aft stairs down hinted at a chillingly precise escape plan. Now, 100%, I did not know that freaking passenger planes had stairs in the back of the plane that went up and down.
They have stairs?
Some of them do. This one did.
I didn't know that. I've never been in a big passenger plane.
I have, but I've never seen one. I don't really think modern planes have that. And I think it was only on certain planes. I don't know. Anyways, as word of Cooper's demands reached the ground, a frenzied effort to comply unfolded. The FBI and airline officials decided to meet his demands, prioritizing the safety of the passengers and the crew. In Seattle, the ransom and parachutes were hastily assembled and the aircraft made a tense landing. The exchange on the tarmac was surreal. Passengers were freed, and Cooper received his ransom, marking a bizarre twist in an already unprecedented situation. This was we don't negotiate with terrorists. Obviously, this is back in 1971.
Because they just did.
Yeah, so they did, the FBI and the airline officials, owner of the plane, all that, decided that it was going to be better to go ahead and pay him. Of course, they probably regretted that, but honestly, that was probably the only thing they really could do without losing the plane and everybody inside. With new instructions from Cooper, the plane took off towards Mexico City, entering the next phase of this harrowing saga. The crew, under Cooper's orders, remained in the cockpit, unaware that the hijacker was preparing for something unimaginable. In the darkness of the night, amidst a stormy backdrop, Cooper made his audacious escape, jumping from the plane over the rugged wilderness of the southwestern Washington. He disappeared into the abyss, leaving behind a mystery that would puzzle the world for years to come. The conditions for his parachute jump were far from ideal, suggesting that Cooper possessed not just courage, but perhaps experience in survival or parachuting. Or he was just dumb.
Or that.
So as the plane landed in Reno, Nevada for a refuel and stop, it was confirmed D.B. Cooper was gone, along with the ransom money. He had vanished, leaving behind a story so compelling and mysterious that it has endured as one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the history of crime and aviation. So that was part one. That was hijacking. Part two, the investigation. 30-some years in the making, 40-some years in the making. I don't know.
You're not doing the math either?
No.
Fair. Neither of us are math people. Really can't blame you for that.
I do a podcast about true crime, so I don't have to do math.
Sometimes I Google them that. Not gonna lie to you.
As dawn broke following the hijacking, a vast array of forces, including the FBI, local law enforcement, and the military, launched an extensive search for D.B. Cooper. The operation spanned the challenging terrain Cooper was believed to have landed in, marking the start of an unprecedented manhunt. The initial fervor, a mix of determination and desperation, set the stage for a saga that would stretch over years, defined by its sheer scope and the elusive nature of this target. The problem is they don't know where he actually jumped from.
Yeah.
The only possible indication they had was the pilots got a notification on their thing when the stairs were actually opened, or the cargo door, or whatever you want to call it. But we don't know if he jumped right away or if he just opened it and waited for a little bit. They did the search area. It was a pretty massive search area, actually, but they did it roughly where they thought he might have jumped. Obviously, they could have been.
That's still a massive search area.
Yeah, basically from in between Seattle and Reno.
Ooh, yeah, that's huge.
And they were all in the cockpit because there was only the pilot, co-pilot, and I think maybe a flight attendant was still on board at the time. Everybody else was gone. And then obviously the engineer, because that was back in the day when it took 5 people to fly a plane. The FBI swiftly moved to piece together the hijacking puzzle, interviewing flight crew, passengers, and potential witnesses. The aircraft served as a silent witness, scored for clues, while the serial numbers of the ransom money were broadcast far and wide in an attempt to catch a trail. Despite these Herculean efforts, D.B. Cooper remained a ghost, with the majority of the ransom money fading into myth. Responding to Cooper's vanishing act, a colossal search ensued. The focus, the wilderness of the Pacific Northwest. Suspected it cradled the secrets of Cooper's fate, the operations were sprawling and meticulous, faced daunting challenges from treacherous terrains and adverse weather to the vastness of the search area and the frustrating absence of concrete evidence. Yet this monumental effort bore little fruit. They basically found nothing. In the silence left by Cooper's absence, a few whispers remained, most notably a black clip-on tie and a mother-of-pearl tie clip, discarded on the plane. These items, mundane yet charged with potential insights into Cooper's identity, which fueled endless speculation. The tie in particular, dusted with particles of rare earth elements, hinted at a possible connection to the aerospace or electronics industries, suggesting Cooper might have possessed technical expertise. Now, I think of D.B. Cooper as a cool person until you learn that he wore a clip-on tie.
Yeah. To be cool, you need to actually tie the tie.
Yeah. That literally takes his coolness level from like a 10 to probably about a 3.
Listen, here's the thing. I can even tie a tie. Me. I can even tie a tie.
I know. That's amazing.
Not a bow tie, but a regular tie. I can tie a regular tie. Not anything fancy, but I can tie one.
I think pretty much anybody can, I think.
Tie it.
Yeah.
For reals.
The FBI spearheaded the investigation, codenamed Norjack, with a dedication that spanned decades. Their strategy was multifaceted, meticulous evidence collection, exhaustive interviews, relentless follow-up on leads, and engaging the public's help through media. Despite this comprehensive approach, the case, marked by minimal evidence and a phantom suspect, remains unsolved. Now, my favorite part. Theories and suspects.
Love this.
Let's start with the suspects.
Is it D.B. Cooper? Damn.
That'd be funny if it was actually a guy named Dan Cooper. The first suspect, Kenneth Christensen. Ken Christensen has become one of the most discussed suspects in the enduring mystery of D.B. Cooper. Born in 1926, Christensen served in the Army during World War II, where he received training as a paratrooper and later worked for Northwest Orient Airlines, the same airline targeted in the Cooper hijacking. Christian's connection to the case was popularized by the 2006 book, Into the Blast, The True Story of D.B. Cooper, by Robert Blevins and Skip Porteous, which posited him as a viable candidate for being the infamous skyjacker. Several points have been brought up to suggest Christensen could be Cooper. Background in parachuting. Christensen's military service included parachute training, providing him the skills necessary to execute the parachute jump Cooper made. Employment with the airline. Working with North Airlines could have given him knowledge about the operations, aircraft, and possible vulnerabilities of the airline, which could have been advantageous in planning and executing the hijacking. Physical resemblance and personality. Some believe Christian physically resembled the composite sketches of Cooper and shared certain personality traits, such as being calm and collected, which witnesses attributed to Cooper during the hijacking. Financial and personal motives. Advocates of the theory have pointed to Christian's acquisition of a house shortly after the hijacking and a change in his lifestyle, suggesting that he may have had access to a significant amount of money following the crime. Additionally, there's speculation about potential personal motivations, including dissatisfaction with his job or life circumstances that could have driven him to commit the hijacking.
I love the comments about looking like the sketch, because have you seen some people's sketches versus what they actually look like? Because sometimes they're so far off, and it's so funny to me.
I think we talked about this before. Eyewitness accounts are the worst.
Yes.
Because people, like, I probably see you more than most people.
Yep.
And if someone asked me to describe how you looked, I would say 4'1",
F off.
big glasses, and is very mean.
That's accurate.
It's all accurate, but
I'm 5'5". I get it though, because it's everybody will describe somebody just a little bit differently.
yeah. So, however, the theory linking Kenneth to D.B. Cooper has its critics, and several factors cast doubt on his involvement. Discrepancies in physical description. The FBI has noted discrepancies between Christian's physical description and that of Cooper, particularly in terms of age and height.
Noted.
Big discrepancies.
Noted right there.
Lack of direct evidence. There is no direct evidence connecting Christian to the hijacking, such as fingerprints or forensic evidence, nor was there any conclusive proof found in his possession after his death. Financial situation.
So do they have any proof of any sort? I mean,
yeah, they got fingerprints and stuff. And I'm sure they still got DNA and stuff too.
That's true.
Financial situation. While the purchase of a house and changes in lifestyle were noted, There is no concrete evidence to suggest that Christian suddenly came into a large sum of money consistent with the ransom attained by Cooper. Other big point is all these bills the serial numbers they've got a list of all the serial numbers, and they are currently, even now, to this day, if you find one of those bills and use it, the FBI is going to be on your door.
Now I'm going to be paranoid in case I just accidentally use one somehow. Not that I would ever,
Technically, it wouldn't be like that quick, but anytime it would go to a bank or...
Yeah.
The serial number, they would be able to find out where they came from, pull security footage, and probably find out who spent it, especially with all the surveillance footage now. The FBI never officially named Christian as a suspect, and like many theories surrounded the identity of D.B. Cooper, the case against him remains circumstantial. The debate over Christian's potential involvement exemplifies the broader challenges in solving the case. A lack of definitive evidence, the passage of time, and the allure of the mystery that invites endless speculation. Suspect number 2.
Done.
Richard Floyd McCoy Jr.
That's a weird name.
I know.
I don't like it.
So we're just going to call him Dick. I'm just kidding. Richard is another prominent figure that often linked to the D.B. Cooper hijacking, primarily due to the striking similarities between the crime he committed and the infamous skyjacking. So he actually...
So he committed another crime just like it?
He did do just skyjacking not long before this one.
That would do it then. I would also think, hey, this dude might be responsible.
And actually, it wasn't before, it was after. My bad.
Oh, so he's potentially a copycat.
Potentially. On April 7, 1972, McCoy hijacked United Airlines 855, a Boeing 727 using a hand grenade and an empty handgun. Like Cooper, McCoy demanded 4 parachutes and $500,000 in ransom, which he received before parachuting from the rear air stair of the plane. The flight was en route from Denver to Los Angeles when McCoy executed his hijacking, forcing the plane to land in San Francisco for the ransom exchange. After parachuting into the Utah desert, McCoy was apprehended by the FBI 2 days later, thanks to quick action and information provided by those that knew him.
That went really well for him, didn't it? Super well. Smart thinking there, buddy.
For 2 days, he basically did the whole D.B. Cooper thing. He got the money, $500,000, which 1970, that's a lot of money.
That's true. Back then it was.
He got the parachutes and he survived the jump. Of course, it was better weather and he only got away for 2 days.
But for those 2 days, though, he was doing good for those 2 days.
That's got to be like the worst kind of high in the world. You just stole $500,000 in 1972. Hold the impossible and pull another DB, and then 2 days later, before you could probably even spend really any of the money, the FBI is knocking on your door.
Yeah, some people just don't make the smartest choices.
So if you're ever going to commit a crime like this, don't tell your family. They'll just turn you in. Don't trust family.
Don't trust anybody. Literally don't trust anybody. Don't tell a single soul.
Method of hijacking. So similarities and differences with the D.B. Cooper hijacking. The method McCoy used, demanding parachutes and ransom, then escaping by jumping from the rear of the Boeing 727, closely mirrored the D.B. Cooper hijacking. The similarity led some investigators and crime enthusiasts to speculate that McCoy might have been inspired by Cooper, or that he was indeed Cooper himself.
No, he wasn't smart enough for that.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. I told somebody.
Parachuting experience. McCoy's military background and parachuting experience provided him with the skills necessary for such a daring escape, obviously, because he survived.
Would make sense, but the rest of it, no. I just don't see it, sorry.
Physical appearance.
Too big of a mouth.
Appearance. Some aspects of McCoy's physical description match that of Cooper, although they were notable differences as well, particularly in their descriptions by witnesses. Again, witnesses unreliable. So now, some reason for doubt, time and location. At the time of the Cooper hijacking, McCoy was reportedly with his family in Utah celebrating Thanksgiving. The alibi supported by his family could make it impossible for him to be Cooper.
Yeah, but also at the same time, it's family's going to lie for you.
Except for his family turned him in, so...
That's fair. His family was like, this idiot over here?
The FBI has stated that while there are intriguing similarities between McCoy and Cooper's hijackings, the evidence does not support the theory that they are the same person. McCoy himself denied being Cooper before his death in 1974, following a prison escape and a subsequent shootout with law enforcement.
Seems like a real smart one.
Yeah, this guy is great.
My favorite so far.
He really is. Legacy. McCoy's hijacking, coming just months after the Cooper case, contributed to the tightening of airline security, including the installation of metal detectors and baggage checks at airports. Fuck McCoy.
Man, why do you have to do that?
His actions, combined with those of Cooper, marked a turning point in how air travel was secured and highlighted the vulnerabilities that existed at the time. Yet, 30-some years later, we still have the whole 9/11 thing. They didn't learn their lesson.
Nope, did not. But that's how airlines work.
Yeah. Suspect 3, Dwayne L. Weber.
Dwayne.
Not Dwayne The Rock Johnson, just Dwayne Weber. Not as cool.
No.
So Dwayne emerged as a notable suspect primarily because of his own deathbed confession.
Interesting.
His involvement as a suspect is more circumstantial and based on anecdotal evidence compared to others, yet has captivated those who follow the case closely due to the personal and mysterious nature of his confession. Dwayne was born in 1924 and had a history of minor run-ins with the law, including instances of forgery and burglary. Hate that word.
I love it when you struggle.
Forgery and theft.
I'm sorry. I'm a terrible person.
Yeah, you are. Just wait, we're going to get you a booster seat now. His wife, Jo Weber, revealed after his death in 1995 that shortly before passing, Dwayne whispered to her, "Dan Cooper."
On your deathbed, though. Come on, dude.
This confession was unexpected, and at the time, Jo did not immediately connect the name to the infamous hijacker, whose alias was often misreported as D.B. Cooper. Following his deathbed confession, Jo Weber reported various incidents that seemed to support the possibility that her husband could have been the elusive hijacker. Knowledge of the area. Dwayne Weber allegedly was familiar with the Pacific Northwest, including the area around the Columbia River, where a portion of the ransom money was found in 1980. Physical ailments. After the hijacking date, Dwayne reportedly had a knee injury consistent with the kind of injury someone might sustain from parachuting into a forested area. However, there was no concrete evidence linking his injury directly to the hijacking event, obviously.
Yes, that's exactly what you do. You just go to the hospital and be like, yes, I'm injured because...
Nightmares and comments. Jo Weber recounted that Dwayne had nightmares related to jumping from a plane and made cryptic comments about leaving fingerprints on the aft stairs of a 727 airline.
That's weirdly specific. That's really weird.
Yeah.
That's really strangely specific, though.
Despite these intriguing details, skepticism surrounds Dwayne Weber's claims. Lack of direct evidence. There's obviously no direct evidence tying Dwayne to the hijacking. His fingerprints did not match any of the prints found on the airplane, and no physical evidence has been discovered to link him to the crime. FBI assessment. The FBI considered Weber as a suspect, but ultimately found insufficient evidence to conclusively link him to the hijacking. His physical description and background also did not fully match the profile developed for Cooper, especially regarding the hijacker's apparent aviation knowledge and experience with parachute.
I feel like he was somehow trolling on his deathbed.
Yeah. At the same time, why though? It's not like you're going to be around to enjoy it.
That's true. Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. But I also don't think that he's DB. Although he could be, because DB does sound kind of like a dork, really.
I know, right?
Should I wonder if he wore clip-on ties all the time.
Just tie the tie.
Honestly, I'm instantly suspicious of anybody who wears a clip-on tie.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Just tie the tie.
There's your motivational speech of the day. Just tie the damn tie.
Listen, if I can tie a tie, it cannot possibly be that hard.
Okay, we're talking about ties way too much in this episode.
I'm sorry, I just got stuck on that. But if I can, it cannot possibly be that difficult.
Literally one line in this whole friggin' 5,000 page script that I have about a tie.
And that's what I get stuck on.
Yeah.
But it's true though. It's not that hard.
Moving on.
All right.
Suspect, whatever. Number 4, I think.
Yeah, 4? 4.
Yeah. Robert Wesley Rackstraw.
Why do I feel stronger about this one?
He's got a better name. Robert was a suspect who gained attention in the D.B. Cooper case, largely due to the investigative efforts of amateur sleuths and a History Channel documentary titled D.B. Cooper Case Closed? ?
I love it. I love it already.
Rackstraw was a former Army pilot with training in parachuting and demolitions, which contributed to the suspicion that he could have been the infamous hijacker. Rackstraw served in the Vietnam War and was known for his intelligence and skill as a pilot. His military background included training that would have been useful in executing a parachute jump like the one Cooper performed. After his military service, Rackstraw had various run-ins with the law, including charges related to theft, fraud, and the possession of explosives. Interest in Rackstraw as a potential suspect was rekindled due to several factors. Physical appearance. Some believe that Rackstraw bore a resemblance to the composite sketch of D.B. Cooper. Again, about 1 billion people probably resemble that sketch.
True, they're very vague.
Military expertise. His military training was seen as an alignment with some of the skills that would have been necessary for Cooper to execute the hijacking and subsequent jump.
Woo.
Cryptic remarks. Rackstraw made several ambiguous and sometimes teasing remarks when confronted with questions about being D.B. Cooper, neither confirming nor outright denying the allegations in a straightforward manner.
To be fair...
So he's like a woman.
Stuff that way. Exactly. Is that the same thing? So he's a smartass. Oh no.
Despite the circumstantial evidence and public speculation, the FBI never officially declared Rackstraw a suspect in the case. Several key points undermine the theory of involvement. Age discrepancy. At the time of the hijacking, Rackstraw was 28 years old, significantly younger than the age range mid-40s estimated for Cooper.
Maybe he just looked old.
Lack of direct evidence. There was no evidence, obviously. No fingerprints, or at least his fingerprints didn't match the ones that the FBI had. The FBI conducted extensive investigations into his background and found nothing to conclusively connect him to the case. Alibi. Rackstraw had an alibi for the time of the hijacking, further distancing him from the possibility of being Cooper. And he died in 2019. Obviously, he's no longer a suspect.
I would hope not at this point.
All right, so those are the main suspects. Again, there's been probably thousands of suspects since the case first opened. This one, okay, now we're going to get into some of the theories. But this is going to be a little different because they're not theories per se. But, for instance, did he survive or did he die? So, theory 1, survival. The theory that D.B. Cooper survived the jump is based on several key arguments and pieces of evidence that suggest the hijacker could have successfully navigated his parachute descent and eluded capture. And here are the main points of the survival theory. I will say, out of all these theories, pretty much use all the same evidence. It's just basically how you interpret that evidence. So you can basically get the 30 different theories with the same pieces of evidence.
That's fair.
Calm demeanor. Witnesses on the plane, including the flight crew and passengers, reported that Cooper is remarkably calm and composed throughout the hijacking. This behavior suggests that he was confident in his plan and perhaps had experienced with similar high-risk situations. Parachute selection. Cooper demonstrated some knowledge of parachutes when he chose the 4 parachutes from the ones offered by authorities, suggesting he might have skydiving or parachuting experience. Although he selected a non-steerable military parachute for his jump, the choice might have been intentional to avoid suspicion or because he felt more comfortable with that type of shoot. So that's one of the, obviously, that we'll get into that a bit later, but that basically comes out as negative. because it was non-steerable, which means you go where the parachute takes you. Mostly used for like cargo drops and stuff like that. Evidence of planning. Specific demands. Cooper's specific demands regarding the right path, altitude, and speed for the getaway plane indicate he had thought through his escape plan in detail. His request for the plane to fly at a low altitude with the aft stair extended suggests he had a landing area in mind and understood the technical requirements for a safe jump. Again, I think if he was really that planning that much, he would have. And there's been some back and forth. Some people say that the pilots chose the path that they took. Some say that he decided the path that they took.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So jump conditions. While the jump conditions were ideal or far from ideal, the rain and the wind, Cooper jumped over a region that, despite its dense and area, had areas of softer, potentially less hazard landing spots, such as riverbanks or cleared land. An experienced parachutist, particularly one with military training, might navigate to such an area to increase survival chances. Post-jump circumstances. The extensive search operations conducted in the suspected landing zone did not yield any definitive evidence of Cooper's fate, such as the body or the parachute. The absence of such evidence has been interpreted by some as indicating that Cooper survived the jump and managed to leave the area. Ransom money discovery. The discovery of the portion of the ransom money by the Columbia River in 1980, 9 years after the hijacking, adds complexity to the case. Some interpret the condition and location of the money as suggesting Cooper survived but perhaps died later, or as evidence of a successful plan that involved laying a false trail. Or he could have just lost one of the money bags when he was coming down.
Crazy to think about.
But the fact that I think it was only like $2,000 or something that he lost, or $10,000 or something, really wasn't a whole lot.
Wasn't a whole lot. That would be nice. It would be nice to have.
When you just stole over $200,000 or sold $200,000.
Fair.
The supporters of the survival theory argue that Cooper's meticulous planning, execution, and the specific knowledge displayed during the hijacking suggesting a scenario where he could have successfully survived the jump. While speculative and without concrete evidence of Cooper's post-jump activities or whereabouts, this theory maintains a strong hold in the public imagination as a testament to the possibility of executing the perfect crime and vanishing without a trace.
Considering he hasn't been caught, pretty much is.
Now, the opposite of that, death, man, that just Cooper died upon landing shortly thereafter.
And his body just never has been found.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is a pretty vast wilderness.
It is pretty dense. And so obviously the adverse weather, rugged terrain, inadequate clothing, questionable parachute knowledge. And they say that because he chose a non-steerable military parachute and he left behind the civilian parachute. And then obviously no evidence. Discovery of the ransom money. They say that this could also prove that he died, although for some reason the rest of the money was never found. So
I don't know. See, that's weird to me. I would think that would mean that he's alive.
Yeah, I think it could go either way. Like I said, it's basically just whichever way you want to make it go.
It was such a well thought out plan. I feel like the parachute was part of the thought out plan. It's me, but...
And then obviously the other, was he a professional? Was he an amateur? Basically the same things as last. The parachute could indicate that he's a professional or that he's an amateur. The fact that he jumped when he did could prove that he's an amateur or a professional. Literally all this is...
True, it could go either way.
Yeah. And that's what all these theories, that's essentially what they're doing, is they're taking the same 5 pieces of evidence and just twisting them to put it the way that you want to see it, which basically means that we don't have hardly anything.
No, but just the way that my mind works. Now, granted, I am autistic. I don't think the same exact way that other people think, but I would have picked the parachute they would not have wanted me to pick, specifically to throw them off. But
then you lose steerability, which going into a dense forest, that could be hazardous.
But if I felt confident enough to use it.
Yeah, but you can be confident all you want, but you take a non-steerable parachute, jump over a bunch of trees, and you're going to end up getting impaled.
That's fair, but...
Do you know, speaking of the money, do you know how much $200,000 was back in 1971?
Oh, God, how much is it roughly now?
Over $1 million. So...
But that's just how my brain works. Because I would have been like, if I feel confident enough to be able to find a place that I know I'm safe jumping out of, and I know I can get myself to the ground because I'm a confident, I don't know, parachuter, jumper, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Listen,
you're not even confident in what you're...
I'm not. But if I was him, there's a lot of other things that I'm confident at. But obviously, jumping out of a plane is not one of those things because I would never. No, thank you. No. All of the no.
All right, I'm going to get rid of we're going to go into some conspiracy theories.
I'm not done. But if I was that person, I would want to throw them off the course. And that's exactly what I would have done, is pick the one that would throw them completely off my trail and make them look at a different way of thinking. But that's just how I would have thought about it.
Maybe he brought his own parachute.
That's also a different way to think about it.
Because what if he just put the parachute, or threw the military parachute, and he actually had one in his luggage?
Yeah, could have been a steerable one and everything. You never know.
Conspiracy theories. I'm bored of the theories already. Honestly, this is super long, and we're already recording for 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
Conspiracy theory 1, government involvement. The theory of CIC or government involvement in the D.B. Cooper hijacking is probably one of the most intriguing conspiracy theories. Also one of the most baseless, but it's a conspiracy theory.
Fair.
Suggesting that the hijacking was either a covert operation carried out by an intelligence agency or somehow linked to a larger government agenda. Covert test, one variation of this theory posits that the hijacking was orchestrated by the CIA or another government entity as a covert operation and a test to airline security measures or emergency response protocols. Cooper would thus be an agent or an asset acting under orders with the entire operation designed to evaluate vulnerabilities in civil aviation security. And I actually like that one, honestly.
It's interesting to think about.
Because this case, really, this one and then the McCoy
What an idiot. No, seriously.
Now, distraction from other events. Another angle suggests that the hijacking was meant to serve as a distraction from significant political or military events occurring at the same time. By drawing media and public attention to the hijacking, the government could have been attempting to divert scrutiny from other operations or controversies. Yeah. It seems like anytime there's a freaking thing, that's the...
Trying to divert your attention.
Experimentation. Some speculate that the hijacking was part of an experimental program exploring psychological warfare, negotiation tactics, or the limits of law enforcement capabilities. Cooper's calm demeanor and specific demands could be seen as part of a calculated effort to study the dynamics of a high-stakes hostage situation. And then the basis for this theory, expertise and knowledge. Cooper displayed a certain level of expertise and knowledge about aviation and parachuting, leading some to speculate about his professional training that could be associated with government or military training programs. Lack of resolution, the fact that the case remains unsolved, combined with FBI's eventual closure of its investigation without apprehending a suspect, fuels speculation about a cover-up or lack of effort to solve the case.
They have prints and stuff. They just can't find the person who has matching ones.
So I forgot how tall, the actual height, but if they were to stack all the case files and everything that's part of the case file on top of each other, I think they said it was going to be like 2 stories high.
Oh my God.
So they definitely put a lot of effort into this.
I believe that.
Historical context, the early 1970s were a period marked by political turmoil, Cold War tensions, and public distrust in government. Welcome to our age. Institution following scandals such as Watergate, the context lends a plausible backdrop to theories of government involvement. Counterpoints. Lack of concrete evidence. There's no direct evidence to support the theory of CIA or government involvement in the hijacking. Most arguments are speculative and rely on circumstantial evidence or perceived feasibility of such operations.
Yeah, that's true.
Complexity and risk. The risk associated with staging a hijacking for both the individuals involved and the broader public would likely outweigh the benefits of testing security protocols or creating a diversion. Government agencies typically have other, less risky means of conducting tests or operations.
I don't know. That one just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. A little, but...
I don't. I like the whole covert test or testing emergency protocols because not too long after this, they did change a whole lot of protocols. So it makes sense.
Yeah, but at the same time, it could also just have been because of what he did.
Yeah, true. Do one more theory quick.
Your favorite. Or the most outlandish.
I don't really have a favorite. Honestly, that one was probably money laundering. Theory that D.B. Cooper's hijacking was related to or motivated by money laundering offers a unique angle on the infamous crime, suggesting
It's interesting. Calm down.
the ransom money attained was not sought for personal enrichment, but as part of a broader scheme involving the cleaning of illicit funds. So, rather than a simple act of extortion for quick cash, this theory posits that Cooper, possibly working with accomplices, aimed to use the hijacking to acquire clean money. The ransom demanded could then be swapped with illicit funds that needed to be laundered, making it easier to introduce into legitimate financial systems without raising suspicion. The theory suggests that the ransom money, once acquired, would be easier to launder through various channels because it was obtained in a public, high-profile manner, thus providing a seemingly legitimate origin for the funds.
That doesn't... What?
When you launder money, you basically make it appear like it's legitimate.
Interesting, but all right.
And this theory is saying that what better way to make money legitimately appear than by making ransom money legitimately appear?
All right, then.
Technically, it's the best way because you got the government collaborating where the money came from. I wouldn't exactly call it clean money at that point, but technically it is clean money because it has an origin.
Oh my God. It's ridiculous, but also weirdly true.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that are like so stupid that it makes sense.
Oh, wow.
Supporting arguments, limited spending of ransom money. A key element supporting this theory is the limited circulation of the ransom money. Only a small fraction of the ransom money was ever recovered, with some of it found buried near the Columbia River in 1980. The absence of the bulk of the money from circulation could imply that it was not intended for immediate use, but rather for integration into legal financial streams through laundering processes. But again, ultimately, the FBI would be able to eventually, yeah.
I mean, they're still looking for it, and it's been so many years.
There's been rumors that supposedly some of the money has been found in circulation. I don't think the FBI's ever corroborated that. So take it with a grain of salt.
I wonder if they would tell us.
I don't see why not. Surprisingly, as far as we know at least, the FBI has been surprisingly open about the D.B. Cooper case.
As far as we know.
Yeah. Knowledge of financial systems. This theory would necessitate Cooper having or working with someone who had sophisticated knowledge of financial systems and money laundering techniques, suggesting a level of premeditation and criminal expertise beyond a simple hijacking. Counterpoints and considerations. Risk versus reward. The high risk involved in hijacking an aircraft for the purpose of laundering money is substantial compared to more conventional and less risky laundering methods.
Little bit.
This raises questions about the practicality and logic behind choosing such a dramatic method for laundering purposes. Evidence of planning and execution. There is no direct evidence to support the idea that Cooper had the necessary financial acumen or connections to orchestrate a money laundering operation. The planning and execution of the hijacking, while meticulous, did not overtly indicate a deeper financial conspiracy. Absence of follow-up activities. If the hijacking were part of a money laundering scheme, subsequent activities involving the ransom money would likely have been detected either through banking channels, accomplice testimonies, or through the tracing of serial numbers on the bills. The lack of such evidence diminishes the likelihood of this theory. And honestly, most of the other freaking conspiracies are dumber than that one because people who make up conspiracy theories have no imagination.
It's fair.
As you can tell, I'm not particularly fond of conspiracy theories.
Sometimes I like the especially stupid ones.
Okay, don't get me wrong. I like some of the conspiracy theories. The ones that actually have a grain of truth. But the whole, it's a conspiracy because the government's out to get us, which is like 90% of it these days. Seriously, be creative. Use your noggin and come up with some creativity. Off my soapbox.
It's one of the reasons I like doing conspiracy theories, because it makes you mad.
Technically, I have 4 more sections.
Oh my God. It's already been like an hour.
That's all I for it too. I think we might actually do another episode someday.
You're insane.
And we're going to call it. That's going to be the remainder. We'll pick this up another time, do part 2.
Yeah, tune in for D.B. Cooper.
Part 2.
Part 2 for Matthew to continue on and fanboy.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through all things mysterious. If you've enjoyed uncovering these mysteries with us, please show your support by liking, subscribing, and following us on your favorite listening platform. For more content and ways to stay connected, don't forget to check out our links in the description below.
As always, we keep you guessing.